Hello, my name is Iwona Golińska from Polish Zoo. I'm the president and founder of Polish Zoo Association in Great Britain. We are concerned with Polish history and the relations between the Poles and the Brits. What I'm doing here, I have a privilege to be awarded the Ambassador of Polish History Award by the Institute of National Remembrance. I'm delighted because I think that history is extremely important. We live today to make history, and we only know the future if we learn the history. And the statement from our Polish Marshal Piłsudski was that if you don't know the history, you would never know the future, and you will not have a say in the future. So this is why I considered this award very important. And my actions, my deeds are going towards trying to put as much history in emphasis, especially our joint history between the Poles and the Brits, so we can understand what happened in the past and we can influence the future.
And how would you like to see British and Polish relations go forward?
I think that British and Polish relations are having a great time right now. I think this is a really unprecedented time in the history that we can enjoy the biggest and the warmest and also the most powerful relations. And this is mainly due to the international situation. So obviously what I mean is the war in Ukraine. The Brits and the Poles are working very closely. We are allies like we were during the Second World War. We are allies on the sea, in the air. We are part of NATO. We are the most two powerful countries in NATO. Poland actually has, I think, the second, if not the first, largest army, NATO army, out of all the NATO countries currently. And Brits are very big supporters of Ukraine. So we are really working towards the common cause, as we did in the Second World War. My personal experience of our relations are stemming from my family background, because my grandfather was actually a ground crew engineer in Royal Air Force, which he was part of the Polish squadrons during the war. He was a Polish squadron 302, 316 during the war, and these squadrons were fighting alongside the Royal Air Force, fighting the Germans. And obviously this is a very important historical background that I have, which I would like to share with you. And I think this history makes the future, it shapes the future. That's why we are working so well together now, because we had this amazing military relationship in the past.
This is my mother here, and she was in Polish Girl Scouts, started in 1948, and she worked her way through the ranks in Polish harcerstwo, which is scouting, and later she came to this country, repatriated, and at the same time, in parallel, was Druh Ryszard Kaczorowski, the future president of Poland in exile. But they, together with them, they went up in the ranks, and he became przewodniczący, leader of Polish scouting, ZHP, Związek Harcerstwa Polskiego. And my mother was on the women's side, przewodnicząca, which means leader of Girl Scouts, ZHP. However, Druh Kaczorowski was a very charismatic man, and he had a really good past. He was invigilated by the NKVD, the KGB. He fought in the Battle of Monte Cassino, and when he came home, he was by trade an accountant. He settled here, but then he it was proposed that he go into politics, so he had to leave scouting, and then he was vice president before Sabat. Very suddenly in 1989, Sabat died, and Druk Kaczorowski, or President Kaczorowski, suddenly had to take over. It was out of his control, whether he liked it or not. Just so happened that Poland had the Okrągły Stół, okay, and Lech Wałęsa was elected the first free leader. So Druk Kaczorowski had to go to Poland in 1992, żeby przekazać insignia, give over the insignia to Lech Wałęsa, and me and my mother travelled there. Since then, he settled, he had a flat in Warsaw, and we travelled a lot. He was a very close friend. I mean, I sort of grew up with him. I literally, because of my mother's friendship with him, it was on a social basis, and I used to go to his house. I even decorated it with him. So we became, and he used to live in the tent with us, and so very close. The kind of, so to me, he wasn't a president. He was just an ordinary man. But he rose to the challenge, and then when he actually did go to Poland, he was extremely honoured. However, a very sad event occurred, Smolensk, in 2010, and what many people believe is a coup d'etat happened, and unfortunately he was killed on board. Now, of course, it's never been proven one way or the other, and there's a big dispute about it, but that's no way for a 91-year-old hero to die, and we were devastated in 2010 when that happened. He was a very close friend of ours. On board was the President of Poland, his wife, and they were going to Katyn to honour, because of the presidential dispute between Tusk and Kaczynski. They went in separate planes, and it's a terrible way for a hero to die. So we were extremely sad. Then his wife died. We went to Warsaw to honour her. So I think my mother did a lot of good work. They both did a lot of work outside. And my mother couldn't go back to Poland after the war had ended. She wasn't actually allowed. So when she went for the first time in 1992, she met with the Pope, all the people responsible for freeing Poland, and it culminated. And for me personally, this was a revelation and a beautiful moment, because I needed to know where my roots come from. So I went to Poland, I got involved in medical aid for Poland, and the culmination of all of this was the handing over of the insignia, the handing over finally, all this time in exile, and finally communists were, it ended with Okrągły Stół. And that's the story, Thank you very much, thank you. Shame about this guy. Can you edit him out?